Karuga. Qapla!
I'm going to take this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail Karuga. Oh, that's all I'm saying.
Forgive me, Doctor. I'm receiving a number of distress calls. I don't doubt it.
Y'all remember to tip your waitresses. Have a mighty fine night.
You come in peace, surrender or be destroyed. Here to make war, we surrender. False good, important things are needed to be.
When the appointed hour arrives, the Marauders will deactivate their cloaking devices and begin transporting Klingon shock troops directly to the landing zone.
Landing zone? Where? Tell me.
Why not? Your feeble weapons will be useless against us. We will kill all your males and take your females to mate with.
All right. Now the Federation's taking over, whether you like it or not. You people, you've been running this planet like a piecework factory. From now on, it's gonna be under one roof. You're gonna run it like a business. That means you're gonna make a profit.
Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since. Tall words proudly saying, "We the people."
Hi, I'm Nicole DeBoer. I played Lieutenant Jadzia Dax on DS9, and I welcome you to Bird O' Prey 5 channel. Hail Karuga.
Hello world, it's Bird O' Prey 5, Qapla, and welcome to Deep Space Nine Wednesday for Star Trek Day, September 8th, 2021. Today we are watching Season 5, right? Season 5, Episode 26, the season finale, Call to Arms. This is the start of the Dominion War, and we're going to be doing it in HD, 960p HD. If you are watching in the screening room, which is only available while the stream is live at birdoprey5.com/SR. The address is at the bottom of the window over there. You can go to it in a separate browser or a separate tab or on a separate device if you're a mobile. Watch it. It's beautiful, crisp quality. If you can't watch in the screening room and you've got your own copy on DVD or Netflix or Hulu or Paramount Plus or Amazon Prime Video, you can queue up and watch it from there too once we start. Whatever you prefer. But from here on out, we're going to be doing 960p HD. A big happy birthday again to Richie Poole. Richie, I know you've been in the chat, but I don't know how far down you are, and I know you've got to get back to work soon sometime. So happy birthday, Richie. And I'm glad you came over to Anti-Tracker's stream and gave me a chance to sing to you before you had to go back to work. At 10:34 a.m. Eastern, Mike Richards asked if he was first. Yes, Mike Richards, you were first. And Richie Poole asked second, and yes, you were. Dan Ben says 55 years of Star Trek at 1 p.m. I don't know what's at 1. At 8 p.m. Eastern, Paramount Plus is doing a Star Trek Day stream, so that's what I'm looking for. Richie Poole says happy birthday, Star Trek. Indeed. 47 Yorktown says happy American Star Trek Day. We Canucks got it 2 days earlier in 66, and yes, you did. One of the few times. Richie Poole says, Bird of Prey, it's my birthday too, and it would be Star Trek wonderful if Ozzy O'Prey saying happy birthday to me and Star Trek in his best Captain Kirk impersonation. Oh, you wanted Ozzy O'Prey to impersonate Captain Kirk. Oh, I only read the Ozzy O'Prey part about that, Richie. Okay. So I guess we're going to do this again. Oi. Okay. This is Ozzy O'Prey here, and I'm going to impersonate Captain Kirk. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Richie Poole. Happy birthday to you. And many, many more. I wish you more birthdays than all the dingoes in all the lands of Australia. I wish you more birthdays than all the Tasmanian tigers ever killed in Tasmania. I wish you more birthdays than all the drop bears that drop their bears on a daily basis. Okay? I wish you more birthdays than all the crocs in Australia. Happy birthday. There you go. And I'd put in a link to Salty Tracker's stream. John Araki says, Qapla, John Araki. Super Blubberpuss says, hello, guys. I hope you're alive and doing fine. Thank you, Super Blubberpuss. Josh Reed says, go over watching Bird at the Bird Screening Room only while he is streaming at www.birdoprey5.com/SR. And yes, that is the link to take you to the Bird of Prey 5 screening room where you can watch in HD today in a few minutes when I start the episode. Dave G Sounds says, hello, world. Hello, Dave G. Josh Street says, we demand season 6, episode 1 to be shown right after season 5, episode 26. Not going to happen today, Josh Street. Sometimes I get the second episode ready. I didn't, so there is 0 chance. Josh Reed says, we demand Enterprise Fridays. I'll tell you, there is a better chance of that than me, but there's a better chance of that than seeing season 6, episode 1 today. But I don't think Enterprise Fridays are coming until we finish DS9. Richie Poole says, thank you. You're welcome, Richie. Dave G says, I happen to listen to DS9 on a continuous loop over a day. Love it. Very cool, Dave G. Dee Myers says, howdy to Dave G and to Richie Poole. Everybody's saying hello. Josh Street says, just remember to get that evil bird father to read your comments, use @BirdOPrey5. Absolutely. Josh Street says, go over to watch with Bird of Prey at the Bird Screening Room. Yes, that's another link to the screening room. Mike Richards is greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Greetings, Mike Richards. Josh Street says, if you can say Bird of Prey 100 times in front of an old CRT monitor, they say Karoga will invade your home. I hope not. Dave G says hi to Cinnabon. Cinnabon Bunny says hello. Hello, Cinnabon. How'd I miss you? Where are we? 47 Yorktown says hello, young sir. Hello, 47 Yorktown. Richie Pools' Bird of Prey is on time. Josh reads his bird of prey is late and has pulled a bird of prey by unplugging his mic. I have not unplugged my mic. The Catman D.D. Myers says hello to 47 Yorktown from South Texas. Josh Street says, I wonder if Bird will look at that comment that was posted for Will Bird to see and look if it's working. I did look. Josh Street says, why the double long opening credits? I don't know what you mean by double long opening credits. Captain Trek says, greetings, Captain. Dee Dee says, bird of prey, Qapla, my friend, how are you and the family? Doing okay, Dee Dee. I had my echocardiogram today. Hopefully I'll get results on that this week. We'll see. I'm not holding out a lot of hope. On good news. Dee Dee says, howdy to Captain Trek. Josh reads as we demand season 6, not going to happen. Josh reads his bird screening room and puts in the link again. Richie Poole, oh, you took the day off for your birthday. Awesome, Richie. Mike Richards says, oh, and 47 Yorktown says, say hashtag, say no to Aussie Prey. Sorry about that. Chrono says, I like this episode, Bird of Prey. And oh my God, you're Aussieing. Yay, says Richie Poole. Unsubbing, says Kronos. Hello and Qapla. Hail Karoga, says not Ryan Johnson. Hail Karoga. Josh Reed says, remember the bird screening room on Saturday is Karogan Mystery Theater. On Sunday, it's The Scary Door, The Twilight Zone. And finally on Wednesday, it's DS9 until it's finished. Yep. You shouldn't drop bears, no. Not Ryan Johnson says, Bird of Prey is starting his weekly blood drive by speaking in an accent and causing everyone's ears to bleed. Chrono says, Lita would look good naked in the wedding. Don't need to floss. That's true, that does come up in this episode. Chrono says, how's the Enterprise D model going? I assume that's the Cinnabon. Mike Richards is Bird of Prey. Please don't unplug me. I'm not going to unplug you. Someone is a day, minute older. Yes, apparently Richie Poole is. And Chrono says, happy unbirthday. He's a happy unbirthday to everybody's whose birthday it isn't today. Okay, thank you, Kronos. So with that, pandas are too stupid to care about falling, says Kronos. Good to know. Okay, so let's head to the Bird of Prey 5 screening room so we can get this episode started. And I will count down from 5. We'll hit play if you're watching in the screening room. Maximize it. You can watch it in HD. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. We have loaded. And what do you think? Lita doesn't know. It's a picture. Rom likes it. It's 2 handkerchiefs and a loincloth. They're looking at different wedding dresses for Lita. She's saying, Ferengi tradition or not, she's not going to be naked at the wedding. He's like, who said about naked? You'll still have the loincloth. She wants something else. And Garrick and Zial are there and says, there is nothing else. He's shown you 53 from Tellarite Modern to Ryzian Traditional. And she's hated all of them. And what about number 38? And Rom's at 38 had more layers than a Paduvian tapestry. She said it was elegant. Zial liked 64. Nobody liked 64. So at least they agree on something. Zial says, just like Garrick designed something on his own, whatever he designs will be beautiful. So Garrick says he finds her faith in him disturbing, but she does have a point. Quark comes up to find out where Lita is. Her 15-minute break was up an hour ago. And Rom is asking Quark, what does he think about the dress? And Quark says, any marriage where a female is allowed to wear clothes and speak is doomed to failure. And there's Sisko and O'Brien walking by. Lita says, let's go talk to him. And O'Brien is saying Keiko and the kids are a lot safer than staying on the station. And Sisko saying he wishes he could get Jake to visit Earth. And Lita wants to know if she can talk to Sisko. And Rom Nog says if they're not too busy. Rom, if they're not too busy. Rom says, will you marry me? I mean, will you marry us? Will you officiate our wedding? And Lita says it's not for another 2 weeks. It'd be a great honor to have the emissary officiate the wedding. So Sisko says he'll brush up on his Bajoran. Anyway, so O'Brien and Sisko walk over to the window. Everybody's staring at the wormhole. And O'Brien says maybe they're not coming, but there they are. A wormhole opens and a bunch of ships pour out. Hundreds of ships. One thing he'll say for the Dominion, they're punctual, says Sisko. So that's the 5th convoy headed for Cardassia in the last 5 weeks. You can only imagine how many Jem'Hadar soldiers are stationed there now, says O'Brien. He wishes they just attack and get it over with, says O'Brien. Sisko says, I have a feeling you're going to get your wish. Yeah. She has ample nacelles, says Kronos about Lita. And says, bird of prey, why do women wear clothing? I don't know. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Dun, 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 dun. 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 I sang it, Kronos. I sang it. But with that, we're gonna kill the camera. Mountains of Elysium says Ducat did nothing wrong. Greetings, Birdo Prey, Mamo Prey, Sisso Prey, the Ball Buster, Nephew Prey, and fellow nerds. And Richie Pools is Birdo Prey doing the DS9 opening theme. My day is complete. So Jake Sisko is reading something that Sisko put in front of him. Station commander opposes non-aggression pact by Jake Sisko. And he's like, you should have warned me. Jake says he was waiting for the right moment. He says the right moment was before you published. Jake says, aren't you happy I got a job? He says, this is not just a one-time thing. He's now an official correspondent for the Starfleet News Service. He wanted to see his work in print. Apparently, he gets to see what he says too. He says, you're a public figure. You're a captain of the most important space station in the entire Federation. You're news. So Sisko says, don't remind me. He says, I suppose I can't stop you from doing your job. And Jake says, can I quote you on this? Guess not. Now, Kira is saying, who would bother to smuggle in 10,000 cases of yamak sauce? Oh, Quark, he thinks the Cardassians are going to retake the station. Dax says he's a Ferengi. You can't blame him for hedging his bets. But it is a lot of yamak sauce. He says, what is a yamak anyway? Asked Dax. Kira says, Odo asks what should he do with it. Kira doesn't answer. Dax says major. And Dax just says dump it. So he wants to know, Dax wants to know what's going on between Kira and Odo. They've been avoiding each other for weeks. They've been avoiding each other since Children of Time. He has feelings for her. He said the kind of feelings that aren't easy to talk about. And she's like, since when? Years, apparently. She just found out about it last week. He says, it explains a lot, says Dax. She said, does it? No, it just seemed like the right thing to say. We never knew Odo had those feelings, says Jax. Kronos says, I don't care for Jake, Bird of Prey. He's a snotty brat. Qapla, Darius. 60 degrees Celsius, just like Sisko likes it. And he's saying, sir, is it true what they're saying about the Romulans? So he says, what are they saying? Oh, Rom heard from a Vulcan diplomat, who heard from a traitor, who heard from somebody, that the Romulans signed a non-aggression pact with the Dominion. And he says, don't forget the 198th rule of acquisition. Here all, trust nothing. So now Sisko is the first he heard about this, but it turned out to be true. Nog has better intelligence. Nog has better intelligence than Starfleet intelligence. Worf says, Romulans I always knew Romulans were without honor. They signed the treaty yesterday. He says, they must be desperate to side with them, says O'Brien. Sisko says, technically they're not siding with anybody. The Tholians, a whole bunch of other races, all signed non-aggression pacts. And Dax says the Bajorans are still talking, and Kira says, don't worry, the Bajorans will never agree to a non-aggression pact. So Sisko says, we both agree that no more Dominion ships can be allowed into the Alpha Quadrant. We're going to mine the wormhole. And Odo says, if we mine the convoys, we might start a war. And Sisko says, well, we might, but we're losing the peace, which means war could be our only hope. So they're talking about pulse mine, but this is where they need to figure out mines that can replicate, cloaked replicating mines. Kronos says, Bird of Prey, like in Kuroga, here all trust nothing. Josh Street says, Bird of Prey, what Jake did is what you have to look forward to when Bird of Prey 6 starts its own channel in a few years from now. Hello, everyone, says Cinnabon Bunny. Rom heard every word. He hasn't touched his food, his stomach. Evis and Sisko agreed to officiate the wedding. He can't. He says, I thought he wanted him to. He did, but now that he said yes, it's become so real. He's going to get married, says Rom. And Dax says, in the meantime, we have work to do. But what if Lita turns out to be just like Nog's mother? Well, and he's like, what if? And then O'Brien says, Rom, and self-replication. That's the only answer. The minds are going to be small, and they need to be replaced quickly, so they have to be self-replicating. Oh no, he forgot to request 2 new quarters. And they're gonna need, their quarters are too small, they're not gonna have room to live. And O'Brien says we can equip each mine with a replicator unit. And that they 20 or 30 are to attack each ship. It says the only problem is they have to wait for the entire minefield to be done before deploying the mines, or you could cause premature detonation. And O'Brien's got to go to Sisko. Dax has got to go to Sisko. O'Brien's got to go to engineering. Dax got to go to Sisko, and Rom's got to go to waste extraction. So Sisko is saying there's not going to be any ships. The Federation can't spare any ships to save the station. Kira says they must have given you a reason for denying your request. And Sisko says they did, but he's not at liberty to discuss it. Starfleet's resources will be needed elsewhere. Kira's like, what's more important than defending the station? Worf says that's not our decision. Not for us to decide. What are our orders? And their orders are to deploy the minefield. I said the Defiant is not going to be able to use weapons while deploying the mine. She'll be an easy target. So it's up to DS9 to protect her. Rock Solid says Rom is Mary Sue. A Mary Sue. Life with Matthew says Qapla bird of prey. And from all the lonely outskirts of Kuroga, banished for crimes I did not commit. If you didn't commit the crime, then you're allowed back. So Odo is saying he wants to end all subspace outbound traffic. So he made all this fake traffic up so it doesn't look like they've stopped transmitting. And now he says, Major, there's something important we need to talk about. Something you need to know. She's like, what's that? He's been thinking about asking her out to dinner. And Kira is like, I've been expecting this. Yeah, I've been expecting something like this. Odo says, I could tell. A little uncomfortable earlier. Because you looked a little uncomfortable yourself. Which is why I want to know I'm not going to do it. No dinner invitation, no flowers, no attempts at changing the nature of our relationship. Until the current crisis is past, we both need our minds free of any unnecessary distractions. Kira is like so relieved. It's like, that's a good idea. So from now, we only need to concern ourselves with deploying the minefield, maintaining station security, and preparing for a possible invasion. And she's laughing. And Odo laughs too. He's like, I don't know about you, I feel more comfortable already. And she is genuinely happy. That was a great move there, Odo. Rock Solid hates when he suffers from premature detonation. Kronos says at least there is no Keiko in this episode. I think. No, there's no Keiko. Kronos says Kira always has resting bitch face. Oh, Weyoun has come to the station. He says, let me make this brief. Mining the wormhole. You have 2 choices. Either you remove the mines, or we will take this station from you and remove them ourselves. Sisko appreciates his directness. Now let me be direct with you. The mind stay. I will not any more Dominion reinforcements through the wormhole. Weyoun says, you will not allow? He says, you've heard me, says Sisko. He says, I can see how you could be your first reaction. He says, but we're reasonable men. Surely we can come to some type of mutual compromise. Sisko says, I didn't think the Dominion compromised. He says, oh, you don't understand us. All the Dominion wants is to peacefully coexist. He says, then why the continued military buildup? Why all the troops and stuff coming from the Gamma Quadrant? And Weyoun says, it's the Cardassians. Don't get them wrong. They're pleased to call them allies. But they just came through a war with the Klingons. It's left them jittery. They're concerned about maintaining the sovereignty of their borders. And since they're members of the Dominion, their concerns are our concerns. And Sisko says, but by now you would have more than enough ships to defend Cardassia. He says, you might think that and I might think that, but the Cardassians. He's like, oh, I know, jittery. He's like, you see my dilemma. He's like, I'm beginning to. So Weyoun says, what if we agreed to limit our convoys to cargo and medical supplies only? Do you know when we arrived on Cardassia, there were children starving on Cardassia Prime? It was horrible. Sisko said he had no idea things were so bad. Weyoun says Cardassians are very proud people. They never want to admit to outsiders how dire the situation was. So are we agreed, says Weyoun? You remove the mines, we restrict our convoys to economic and medical assistance. So Sisko says he'd have to discuss it with Starfleet, but it sounds reasonable. And he says, I'm sure they'll do whatever Sisko recommends. And Weyoun will personally speak to the founders. And Sisko says, what about Gul Dukat? He says he'll be furious at first, but he'll see the wisdom eventually. And Sisko says he'll leave it in Weyoun's capable hands. And Weyoun says, you won't be disappointed. And Weyoun says, this is a momentous day. You and I took the first steps towards ensuring peace between our people. And Sisko does some hand gesture, which I really don't understand. And this is where we find out that they know they're about to attack. He says I didn't believe him for a second, and I'm sure he didn't believe me. And we're just trying to lull the other side into a false sense of security. How soon? He says as soon as they can get their ships from Cardassia, as soon as tomorrow. Says, which means you've got to finish the mines today. Dax says, we need more time. He says, you don't have it. And Martok, take your ship and patrol the border. And he says, don't engage the enemy. Get back to the station as soon as you can. We'll fight them here. Martok says, doesn't matter where he fights them. Kronos says, wow, money in wormholes sounds dirty. Mountains of Elysium says, bird of prey, they should have left Keiko and Laxwana Troy on the station out of spite. The Dominion would have left without a fight. Norman Buckwald says, Laxwana Troy, her own troubles later in season 6, and thankfully not shared with us in canon. Kronos says, Karoga and Turtistan are allies. And he says, Cardassians have big butts, says Kronos. Richie Pools is bird of prey. Cardassia sounds like Karoga. Not really. So now Sisko tells Kira that he needs Bajor to sign the treaty with the Dominion. It was his job to protect Bajor, and he can't do that anymore. The fact is, the Federation can't protect Bajor in the war. So Bajor's got to stand on its own. Bajor's got to be kept out of the fighting. He doesn't like it any more than she does. But it's Bajor's only chance for survival. So as emissary and as a Starfleet officer, he's talking to the Bajorans. So now all the Bajorans are evacuating the station because Bajor officially requested the Federation to turn over the station, and the Federation is saying, no, F you, Bajor. We're not turning over the station to you. Not yet, anyway. Even though we were invited here. Locusts, says Norman, indeed. Locusts are destroying Bajor. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria, says Kronos. Yes, Norman. Bajor must stand alone. So, Zial is going down to Bajor, and Garrick is saying, well, you're half Bajoran, so at least half of you will be accepted. He can't go to Bajor because he's not half Bajoran, but he's telling her a story about don't ever underestimate his ability to survive. Yes. The don't ever underestimate his gift for survival. Oh, and they kiss. A kiss on the lips, a romantic kiss. Very disturbing, the age difference. But, oh well. So what? A young girl who spent her formative years in prison, really having no real access to socialization in the outside world, and a relatively old spy. So the wedding got pushed up. So Rom and Lita kissed, and Nog calls Lita Moogie now. And Quark took his Dabo girl as a date to the wedding. He says that was the most pathetic wedding ceremony he's ever seen. No bridal auction. So nevertheless, you're very happy for us, says Rom. I know he's overjoyed, says Quark. Rock Solid says Bajor stands alone. Bajor stands alone. Hi ho the Dario. Bajor stands alone. Kronos says, Bird of Prey, please say hello to Moogie O'Prey. Think she's asleep, Kronos. So now Lita's got to leave the station. All Bajorans have to leave the station. Rom has got to stay with Chief O'Brien. Says, look, we haven't just finished our vows, and we're already having our first fight. We're really married. This is the problems of two newlyweds. Wow. But a small whatever in intergalactic something. Says, get on that shuttle and don't look back. He says, he tells Nog to take his Moogie to the docking ring. Nice speech, Dad. I think that was from Casablanca. Rom says, I think so. Sisko says, what's the status of Sisko 197? All necessary steps have been implemented. Ops to Captain Sisko from Nog. They're getting a message from the border. It's Martok. On screen. They just detected a large contingent of Dominion ships headed that way. They should be there. And then his signal got jammed. Oh, there's Ducat. Ducat and Weyoun says, Commander Sisko, Captain Sisko, I don't suppose you want to surrender. He says, absolutely not. And Ducat says, I was hoping you'd say that. Battle stations. So Dominion fleet should be in weapons range in 20 minutes, says Worf. The last transport just left. He hopes the Dominion honors the non-aggression pact. He tells Nog to put him through the Defiant. Says, Benjamin, I know what you're going to say, but we got at least another hour of work before we can activate. Says, you don't have an hour. The Dominion's going to be here in less than 20 minutes. You're going to be a sitting duck. She says, I hope you can buy us some time. And she calls O'Brien. She's like, I know, work faster. Jake is handing out battlefield trauma kits, medical tricorder, dermal regenerator. Yes. Now what? He asks Bashir. Now we wait until the casualties start coming in. He's like, are you sure you're all right? He says, he'll be fine. But Sisko won't let him stay in ops. And he promised the news service a first-hand account. And he said, just remember, Bashir is spelt with an I. And we've got Federation Starfleet troops with their phasers. And Garrick comes to Odo. Says, I admire your tranquility. He says, his entire staff's been evacuated to Bajor. He's useless. He says, if it make you feel any better, you could always deputize Garrick. He says, I'm sure if we get boarded, you'll make yourself useful. He says, it's ironic when the Klingons attacked the station. And at one point, Gul Dukat turned his back. And he must admit he made a very tempting target. And Odo says, you'd shoot a man in the back. And Garrick says, it is the safest way. And he says, but then he thought he couldn't fight all these Klingons by himself, so he let them live. And Odo says, so now you regret it. And Garrick says, Odo, before this day is over, everyone on this station is going to regret it. Okay, so now Rom is working on something he's preparing perimeter defenses. Quark is saying there's dozens of engineers that could be doing that. Starfleet engineers, humans. He says, you should be on Bajor with your new wife. He said, that's what Lita said. He says, that's right, it's not your fight. He says, it's not your fight either, but you're not leaving. And Quark says he has to look out for the bar. And Rom says he has to look out for Quark. He says, whatever happens, we belong together. You're my brother. I didn't fall asleep, Kronos. Bird is Sweepies. General Martok, take a defensive position, says Sisko. They gotta keep the Defiant safe, no matter the cost. And activate the weapons array, Mr. Worf. Only now? Why didn't you activate it an hour ago? Just in case there was some type of problem. Kira says, Captain, as a major in the Bajoran militia, she must officially protest the refusal to hand over the station to her government. He says, your protest is duly noted. She says, good, now that that's over with. Lieutenant Kira Nerys reporting for duty. And now we see the Jem'Hadar Cardassian fleet approaching the station. They'll be there in 1 minute. Dukat says he's been waiting for this moment for 5 years. First, Terok Nor, then on to Bajor, says Damar. And Weyoun says, may I just remind you, the Dominion just signed a non-aggression pact with Bajor. And Dukat says that the Dominion did. I didn't. And Weyoun says, you will honor what the Dominion has signed. And Dukat says, I will honor what the Dominion, where the Dominion leads, I will follow. And Damar kind of looks at Dukat like, really? You sell out. Says, they're in weapons range. And Dukat says, well, then by all means, fire. And all the ships start shooting at the station. And Sisko gives Worf the option to fire at will. All weapons fire. And so we're getting a really good battle scene here. Of course, none of the ships seem to have shields. Only the station, only Ops seems to have shields. All the other ships are, as they get hit with phasers or photon torpedoes, they just blow up. And sir, the station's shields are holding. Weyoun says it's impossible. They've always proven useless against their tech. Dukat says I've always found it wise not to underestimate the Federation's technical skill or Captain Sisko's resourcefulness. Yeah, whole ships are just getting blown out of the sky. A beautiful shot there of the station. We got the Defiant working. He's like, how much longer? Just another couple of minutes. And he's like, take us to the final set of coordinates. And now Defiant's being shot at by 3 Dominion ships. And he's going, Dax has to take evasive maneuvers. O'Brien says, if you do, you risk setting off every mine in the ship. And Dax says, if I don't, we're not going to have a ship left. And then luckily, Martok's ship decloaks and immediately takes out one of the 3 Jem'Hadar ships. He says he will worry about the Jem'Hadar. Dax can get back to work. Dax says, who says there's never a Klingon around when you need one? No. So the station's at 35% shields. They're preparing for another round. Oh. Dukat says concentrate on section 17 of the outer docking ring. They have to penetrate their shields. We got more ships just being destroyed by a few photons, torpedoes. Everybody's attacking us one part of the station. They lost main power to the shields. Now Worf is switching to secondary power. He doesn't know how long it'll hold. And Defiant to Captain, Dax says they set the last mine. Says, okay, come on back to the station. So all the mines are becoming active. They're cloaking. And Damar is saying, sir, the minefield. And Dukat says, it's fine. It's a minor setback. Once we take the station, we'll be able to dismantle it easily enough. Weyoun says, let's hope it's justified. And now Dukat saying, signal the reserves to prepare for a final assault. So Kira is saying the Dominion fleet is regrouping, and there's more fighters more enemies entering Bajoran space. So he says, what's our orders, Captain? And Sisko says, we're evacuating. Tell everybody, all Starfleet personnel, to leave the station to proceed to evacuation points. So Jadzia is supposed to be on Defiant. Worf's been assigned to Martok's ship. Worf says it might be some time before we see each other again. And Jadzia says we might never see each other again. Worf says this is war. We got to put aside our personal feelings. She's like, I want you to know the answer is yes. Yes to what? Yes, I'll marry you, says Dax. That's what you wanted from the beginning. Yes, says Worf. He's like, yes, says that. She's like, fine, then when all this is over, we'll get married. If that doesn't give you a reason to survive, she doesn't know what will. Now, Kronos says, fire at Will Wheaton. Make it so. Kronos says, go, go, gadget minefield. So Sisko is giving a speech to the people who are still left on the station, including Morn and Quark, Rom, Nog. He's like, and it's being broadcast to everybody on the Defiant. Says, I wanted to know while we were keeping the Dominion occupied, our Klingon Federation task force crossed into Cardassia and destroyed the Dominion shipyards on something 3. Their fight made that victory possible. But nothing can make this moment any easier for him. But he promises he will not rest until he stands with them again here in this place where he belongs. When he hits his combat, Sisko to Defiant. 1 to beam up. 1 to beam aboard. And that's it. Kira and Odo and the Quark is left there. And Garrick is on the Defiant. He's like, Mr. Garrick. He's like, you never know, he might need a good sailor. And the fact is, he's got nowhere else to go. So Sisko welcomes him aboard. Dax says, okay, the Dominion fleet's coming around for another attack. So Sisko says, release stocking clamps, get us out of here. So the bird of prey and the Defiant both cloak as they leave. Anyway, so now on the station, Kira gets up to the table. Odo says Defiance away. Says, contact the Dominion fleet. Says the Bajoran government welcomes them to Deep Space Nine. Message acknowledged, says Odo. Kira says, the last message the station's going to send for a while. Computer, initiate Sisko 197. And now electricity, lightning is zapping from all the consoles. It's frying the entire station. Apparently not gravity plating or life support, of course, but everything else. She says, Ducat wants the station, he can have it, says Kira. And Quark says he doesn't want to see another drop of root beer. He get Kanar and find some yamak sauce. And Quark, Rom comes back to Quark and says, I'm working for you again, brother. He says, what, you thought you would just come crawling back? And then Rom admits he's working for Starfleet Intelligence as a spy. And Rom says, wow. Quark says, wow, they're more desperate than I thought. But Quark's down with it. So Rom is undercover. But now Rom looks over and he says, oh no, Jake. He says, aren't you supposed to be on the Defiant? And Jake says, he's a reporter. He needs to report. And Rom says, but you're not safe here. And Jake says, Dominion knows he's the emissary's son. If they hurt him, they risk alienating the new friends, the Bajorans. Rom says, I hope you're right. So do I, says Jake. And now on the Defiant, Sisko slams down a pad. And O'Brien says, do we go back for him? And Sisko says, we can't risk the entire crew for one man, even if he is my son. And he is a man, capable of making his own choices. He says, maintain course. But he's quite angry. Says they should rendezvous with the task force in 48 hours. And then what? And then Nog says, and then we make the Dominion sorry they ever set foot in the Alpha Quadrant. And he says, Cadet, you took the words right out of my mouth. So now the Jem'Hadar and the Cardassians are boarding the station, but there's no power. Kronos says, Jake, who cares? Kronos says, even Jake Sisko doesn't care about his son. No, Kronos, I can't make Garfield blink his eyes. And Kronos is glad to see I'm not as sleepy now. So, gentlemen, on behalf of the Bajoran government and the Promenade Merchants Association, says Quark, Kira says officially welcomes them to Deep Space Nine. And Dukat says, you mean Terok Nor. And now Weyoun comes to Odo. He says, Founder, we're honored by your decision to join us. He's like, I'm the station's chief of security. He says, whatever you say. Nevertheless, having a god walk amongst us is most gratifying. Dukat says, I agree. Odo, him, the major, it's like old times. Should be most interesting. And if you need him, he'll be in his office, says Dukat. And Weyoun is saying it would appear Captain Sisko was most effective at destroying the station. Dukat says it can be repaired. Weyoun says the first job is taking down the wormhole until they can bring in reinforcements. Their position is, is not secure. He says he assumes Sisko destroyed or removed everything of value. And Dukat looks at his desk and he says, not everything. And he picks up a baseball. He says, it's a message. And Weyoun's like, I don't understand. Dukat says, he's letting me know he'll be back. And Dukat's holding the baseball. And Sisko is, we cut to Sisko on the Defiant. And this awesome scene of the Defiant and the Bird of Prey joining this massive fleet. And this is the season finale. And we were promised, more or less, that when the season comes back, season 6, we expect to see a massive, massive battle. And that's it. That is the end. Season 5 is in the books. We have 2 full seasons of Deep Space Nine remaining. Next week is season 6, episode 1, A Time to Stand. A Time to Stand. And for many people, season 6 is the definitive best season of Deep Space Nine. It is certainly up there. It is certainly up there. Jedi Bill says, hello, Bird of Prey, Qapla, Brother Warrior. Hail, Karoga. Hail, Karoga, Jedi Bill. Chrono says the 666 rule of acquisition is steal from everyone. No, there is no such rule. There is no such rule. Anyway. Nice ending for a season. Epic shot of the fleet, says John DeMarco. Absolutely. Absolutely. I got chills. I got chills when I first saw that fleet. I paused that. I rewound it. When I VHS this episode, I was looking at every little ship I could see, which at the time was like on 300 lines of resolution from a VCR. Nothing like what you can see now. Anyway. Norman Buckwald says, except for Prophet and Lace, Lowell and the Mirror episode, and Molly the Time Traveler, maybe the best season. Oh my God. Molly the Time Traveler is in this season. Oh, and Prophet and Lace. Oh, those could easily be swapped out. Anyway, thank you guys all for coming and watching. I don't know if I will be streaming later. I'm kind of tired. I'm considering streaming at 8 or 8:30 p.m. if there is indeed a Paramount Plus stream on Star Trek Day, but I'm not sure. So if I do, it might be on the Bird of Prey X channel. It might be on this channel. I'm not sure. I might just get some rest because tomorrow's Thursday and I do get up early to review Lower Decks. So, Qapla all, thanks for watching. Bird out. And yes, Kronos needs to stream soon because his bladder's full. But wait, there's more. The video might be over, but there's more fun to be had. First, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have clicked that bell icon to get notifications of new videos in your YouTube feed. Share this video on social media to help this channel fight the algorithm that favors big media. Also check out www.birdoprey5.com for links to my other channels, various social media accounts, merch store, Dear Bop, affiliate links, and all your Birdo Prey 5 needs. At the main Birdo Prey 5 YouTube channel, you can find all sorts of live streams and unlisted videos, YouTube membership options, and a community section with polls and updates on the channel. On the secondary channel, Birdo Prey 5X, you can find overflow content that doesn't always make the main channel. Subscribe to both channels, please. Thanks for watching. Remember, I stream almost every day. This is Birdo Prey 5 saying goodbye, world. Until next time. P.S. Hail Sassy, hail Charlie, and of course, hail Kuroga.